Let's talk about sets. Hey all, JTOWN here. Wanted to talk to you guys today about sets. I get a lot of questions about what are the changes in the sets, which ones are the best, which ones are you using, what should I use. So I just want to go through what they are, which ones I think you should use, which ones are viable, which ones are not. It's just a quick video for those new players or returning players who may not know what sets are the best, what the changes were. If you're in the small group of folks like myself who've been playing the whole time and we're, the testers going through and solve sets, this may not be the video for you, but I just want to put that, lay it out there for everybody else to know what sets to use. So let's get into it. All right. So we're just going to look through the helmets. They show what sets they are. First up is Jade. Now, Jade is what I was using before the update. Jade used to be speed to your character and then all of your team 10% more damage. Now Jade sucks. It's physical attack, magic attack 15% on your character. Your phantoms would inherit those stats. The character transforms 35% damage into HP. That's like a lifesteal. I've not seen any point where that's going to be really useful in these current speed go first or die meta. It's kind of maybe later on if things balance out, we get to a point where we can actually take some hits, maybe that'll be useful, but as of now, there's better out there. Next up, Eagle Owl helmet. We all remember Eagle Owl Anter. She was that first real big wall in the content in the previous iteration of the game. Still is pretty tough if you have a newbie account, but this set is about resistance and accuracy. The character resistance 35, it's crap. But character accuracy 120, that could be useful. Now, the game and the changes and the scalings are still evolving. There's a lot of things that were unintended that the testers have found. So if you know any of the testers, thank them. They are finding the bugs. They're getting those things reported and changed. Like when the test server first came out, the accuracy and resistance were applying to your ally buffs, even if they weren't RNG based. They were just 100% chance to land. Resistance was causing you to resist your own allies' buffs. In addition to that, later on, other testers found that clock is control immunity buff to your team was being extended to the enemies, which prevented you from seeing them whatsoever. So we were all wondering, is accuracy now through the roof? I mean, the resistance is ridiculously high that you can't overcome it, or is it a bug? So, and then on top of that, the recent changes to the scaling, the almost exponential scaling as you get up into Hell and Incubus levels of the difficulties, the ability to land CC effects may be even further diminished. So until more people get there and more testing, more results is done, we really won't know just how valuable character accuracy is. Now, character accuracy, I say that because you're not going to be, your phantoms are not going to be inheriting that. That's not one of the stats that they get from you. So things like the cold axe, you could land freezes. Of course, it's still RNG based. You may, freeze some, you may not. Personally, I like it for the bloodthirsty axe to land that bleed to get their resistance down and that little bit of, status effect. Now, in the current meta, the oppression set on Puppeteer is been dissolved because that's not where we're at. The damage and the scalings and the resistances are so high that is gone by the wayside. It was nice while it lasted. So making sure you land a status effect with your character with their weapon before Puppeteer goes is not a thing. You're actually going to get more benefit if she goes before your character, and then you do a little more damage because of the AoE defense down. So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of variables to really look at. That this may be good in the future, depending how the arena changes, but right now it's still only a speed meta in the arena. It's whoever's Bloody Overlord gets to go first wins. All Bloody Overlords over 400 kill all other Bloody Overlords over 400. You can't survive that hit with the current stats in game. So right now, we're a little bit reserved on this one. A little long-winded, I know. Moving on to Tides. Tides was a crowd favorite in the past as it gave 20% crit damage. Now it's a piece of crap. PDEF and MDEF 15%, there are better out there. and the character resistance 120, you're not, if you're going second or if you're having to try to resist things with your character, like using you're not fast enough, you're pretty much already on the losing side of the battle. So on the resistance. Moving along to Dragon. Dragon was one of those things where it wasn't even something we looked at in the previous iteration of the game, but now it's character crit damage 25%, character crit rate 25%. When we first got on the test servers before the update launched, the character level was far ahead of the Phantom's levels, so it felt like the character was doing substantially more damage. Now, it's still more than what the normal was from the previous iteration of the game, but it's not enough to where that's a concern, and those are not stats that your Phantoms are inheriting, so I'm not liking Dragon. Moving on to Gold. Gold used to be the go-to for survivability. Gold used to reduce the damage your entire team took. It now no longer does that. You get 20 accuracy, which is far less than the Eagle Owl set. And like I said earlier, we're still developing into the game to find out if, landing CC is going to be a thing, it's going to be able to be done, or needing to be done, depending on how the meta shapes out. And then character speed. Character speed is less important because your Phantoms don't inherit it, and clock making everybody go faster. If your clock goes first, you're pretty much going to win in the arena. Character speed's far less important. You're not really trying to land anything with your character prior to. You just need to go first. Let your Bloody Overlord or your other DPS, your Fire Thief, your whatever it is that you're rocking, go first. Character speed is far less valuable than it was in the previous meta. Moving along to the Triumph, which is a cool looking set. Wasn't even talked about before the update. 60% PDEF and MDEF, which is a lot higher than the other set, having 15%. And then additionally, character damage taken reduced by 20%. Similar to the old Gold set, but only for the character, not for the whole team. So, the Cavalier set. Crit rate 8% for the character. 40% P attack and M attack. That is going to increase your character stats, and that is stats that are inherited by your Phantoms, so that's a plus. Looking at all these sets, I'm really only going to recommend 2 currently, 1 pending further development in the meta and research. The 2 that I'm going to recommend are Cavalier, because as you get higher and it gets harder to level up your Phantoms, you're really going to need to eke out all that damage, because a lot of fights are, if you win first round, you win. If you don't win first round, you're going to die. So that 40% on the attacks is pretty big. It's the best one out of all of these sets. The other set that I'm going to lean towards is Triumph Helmet, but less than the Cavalier, and I'll tell you why. 60% PDEF and MDEF seems like a lot, but currently in endgame content, if you're not fast enough, which in the endgame you really need to focus on, you need to get fast enough. A lot of fights, there's not a defense high enough that's going to make you really survive. I mean, you might be able to eke it out sometimes, but in the arena, if I'm facing another higher level player, their Bloody Overload goes first, I'm toast, because there's not an amount of defensive stats high enough currently that I have seen that allows you to absorb that hit. Right now, my Bloody Overlord at 540 can absorb the hit from a 280, a 320, so on and so forth, Bloody Overlord. But another 400 and above, I'm going to be dead. So, unless we get a lot more stats, or somebody can show me where the amount of mitigation this provides keeps you alive, I think that Cavalier gives you a better benefit over this. Now, coming up through the mid-game, to where it's not so ramped up in difficulty, Triumph might be better to help you get through some of those fights, make you last a couple of turns, especially now that enchantments are harder to use first turn, which would seemingly indicate you're going to take multiple rounds for a fight, but may or not be the case. I mean, we're finding out, especially in the endgame meta, that the speed go first or die is just the way to go. There's no other way around it. All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick guide on what I think about the sets, which ones I think you should worry about now, which ones to look at maybe in the future. Follow-ups to this, I'm sure, will come out. Discussions are being had across the Discord with others in the think tank like myself, Higher Standard, Dan Heilman. We're always going around about what sets are good for what. And as more scenarios come up to make other sets more useful, just hit us up on the Discord. We'll let you know. We'll keep you informed. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you find it useful. And as always, see you in game.